we're live. Okay, now we're recording. So, yeah, the game looks like everyone's ready. I think everyone is out of the server, so we're all good to go. So we've got Team Quebec being led by Lazybum, that's Northern Faction, and Team Xray being led by Spike, and they're playing on Brenodi. And the game is starting.
And they're off.
Let's see where they all split up at.
Alright, I'm watching Xray.
Yeah. Oh, RPG snipes. The RPG snipes are going straight for the bridge. So, we'll see if they manage to take that down or not. Remember when this happened to us, we actually end up losing someone to the RPGs coming across. But yeah. Yep,
Oh,
they done it!
yeah. They got it.
Nice!
Yep.
Well, I think Xray actually anticipated that because they only sent 5 people across that bridge. Usually you'd see a lot more
I
people.
feel like, though, if they'd anticipated it, they'd have just done what the other guy's doing now and just gone straight to the right and gone for the ladder.
It's an interesting tactic from this
Whoa!
from Xray.
Yeah, they already got the front racks.
Seen these guys in the north?
Yeah, they've dropped it on the ground, though. Like, they've dropped it on the ground.
Did you see what Xray did?
No.
Just north of their racks? Like, they sent a whole squad to do that.
To do... What?
To wall up the ramp and place down 3 ML turrets.
Xray at the
right,
center is getting pummeled from all sides.
I think that's interesting. And dedicating a whole squad to doing that is kind of weird. Wookie gets first blood.
Oh, I've just realised now that I've had the T's mixed up in my head. So yeah, B is Xray, right? Now I get it. Yeah, I see what you mean with the turrets. That's a bit strange.
It's kind of weird. They dedicated 5 people to doing that, like right off the bat. I like this. I like this forward racks from Quebec, and I like this just mortaring down any attempts that BE have to take that refinery.
Yeah. I think now in the southeast, none of the teams have actually committed to going in the low ground. Like, they're both just murdering each other from the high ground, and I feel like this is the only spot on the map where it's actually worth fighting the low ground and maybe getting our racks up on the other side of the area I'm looking at right now. But it's extremely hard for NF to push up because of the ladders, whereas B can tend to flank round to the NF main. So I don't
Xray
actually
made
see that
an
taking
interesting
on.
decision up here. They decided to go for the low ground racks as kind of plan B.
Yeah,
And,
I saw that at the start. I didn't really like. I still felt like they had time to get on the high ground and place
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
I don't know why
They
would
could
go.
have put it, I think, behind the trees, but I think what they've done with themselves there is they've kind of given themselves a really hard position to fight from.
Well, I don't think they could have reached the trees because of losing the bridge. I think that's the whole reason they placed it there. But they could have just placed it literally at the top of the ladder. It would have been better than nothing.
Yeah. They put an armory down on top, but that went down pretty quick.
Yeah, like I don't know. I think the low ground racks. I mean, maybe if they can commit enough people to, which it looks like they have done, they've managed to kill off NF. Because here's the other thing: NF have got their racks so far back that they're traveling pretty much just as much ground as B.
I'm surprised that like Xray have actually managed to secure this top. Well,
yeah,
relatively
they
secure.
have
They
no
don't
real
have.
right
They
to.
don't currently have a racks, and they don't have the refinery yet. But I mean, they're holding their own.
Well,
I
they've
feel
got men
like
up there now,
Quebec
that's
should
the
have
point.
pushed straight across and taken that straight away.
Like, if they got stuck at the bottom of the ladder, that's it, they're never getting up there. But they fought their way up, and NF never really capitalised on it. They should have got the racks further up, and they could have pretty much put it up against the bridge, and that's it. Like, there's no way they can fight against that. But
I've never seen a team in a competitive game like take this much and put this much emphasis on the east side of Isle. I feel like east side of Isle is not all that important, and you can take the refineries with
well, all you're fighting over is
less
that
than a
refinery.
squad. Honestly,
You're fighting
The
over
east
one.
side of Isle is also very nice for putting down a vehicle factory and a
Yeah.
barracks and just a makeshift base.
You can get
It
it.
has
Yes,
space
they haven't
for a
given
radar.
they have not given themselves space to put down a vehicle factory though.
But the thing is, right, you can't really push up either. Like, the only way up to each side is a ladder, right? That's it. That is a single way you can push up onto those areas.
Quite.
So all you're
think
fighting
that
over
you
is a
don't
refinery.
I think you don't need to commit that many people. They've got like a squad and a half, maybe 2 squads there.
Like, I just don't think it's necessary. Just hold the ground, mine up the top of the ladder, and just don't let them get the refinery up, and just obviously it doesn't matter
Oh,
for
B-
you.
So
You
we've
got
got
the
vehicle,
sensor.
vehicle factories coming out now.
Yep. I'm heading over to B's now, and NF already have one up. I need Stockholm.
B has one up. They've got their resource.
Right, so
They've got their research going.
yeah, so as to state again, Xray on BE, and
Yeah.
Buying a lot of the Jeeps.
They could have picked better names, to be fair. Alright, so, Jeep spam, and an APC. Alright, looks like Quebec actually are making better use of these initial vehicles than Xray are. Xray kind of just built up the vehicle factory, and they've just gotten their first Jeep out now.
Yep.
No, Xray already has 3 Jeeps out.
It's also worth mentioning that as leader of Xray, Spike's actually also taken the CV as well as commander.
That's
Quebec have stuck with all
brave.
that. And obviously, I don't know who's actually leading the team, seeing as Predator, who did that last time, isn't here this week.
I find this quite difficult to call and be in the comm vehicle at the same time.
Very difficult. I mean, there's just a lot to keep an eye on. I think in smaller games it's doable. I think in like 11 versus 11, or maybe like 14 or something like that, you can get away with it. But look at these teams; they're 24 each side. I think you're splitting yourself pretty thin there. Well, I mean, looking at the north now.
Isla's an interesting map, right? Because I'd say on no other map are Jeeps this important.
Oh, right,
because the mid is kind of Jeep territory for the first at least kind of 20 minutes of the game until some actual tanks come out. Jeeps are just the absolute dominant force in the mid. The thing is that the mid isn't actually very important on Isle.
Just go draw attention to this. I keep having to look at the team names to remember which is which. This Quebec APC in the middle on an F. They've got a full squad in that right now, and they're just going around taking the refineries. So they've already taken the 2 there, and now they're pushing on to the next one.
I mean, there are certain positions that you can get to in mid where you can just take down all those refineries, so it's not... I'm not sure that committing a team on the ground is the best idea.
Well, I mean, the thing is, Xray are kind of dropping a few Jeeps in there with people, and like they're going to split them up now. I'm just looking now, and Xray have now got another Jeep who's just going straight for it's AZK, just going straight for the refinery that they just built outside their own main base.
Xray still have a ton of guys on the east side here. They've got 5 people still on this hill.
I'm not sure if that's the best use of manpower at the moment. I mean,
well, look at how many people Quebec are committing over here. I feel like both teams are wasting a lot of resources on the east side of the map, which just is not very important compared to the northwest.
Neither of them have got the refinery, so...
The northwest it's
the key to the map.
The reason why it's so important is, like, it is the most important place on this map, is because if you manage to get Iraqs on that island at the top there, then you can hold 4 refineries with 1 or 2 squads.
Well, the main thing is this: it's the only place on the map where you can only be attacked from other high ground positions, and on top of that, so you can't be pushed from the low ground except by the ladder. And on top of that, though, then you've also got 2 different routes of escape or to push, whereas the other ones, obviously, at the end are all. And Xray are getting an APC, barracks up here again, so they're now getting the high ground barracks finally.
They're trying to. They placed 1 and it went down to mortar fire. They've got a second one going up, but
like it's only Candles building it, and there's still a lot of mortar fire coming in. Like
well, Uzi and Panda are kind of demolishing these buildings.
You got Paradox and security over here at the side as well. Yep.
And Jeff is rocketing things.
But they have got an APC up there behind the armory at the very least. So they've got the spawn point on the high ground. That's important at this point.
That's kind of cute. It's very well hidden there.
One thing I saw last time I was playing on this map, a nice trick that someone did, is you see how the cliff slopes off the edge? Yeah. People were building turrets on the slope so it points down to the ground. So you would drive around that corner in APC, and next thing you'd just have turrets all on the high ground where you couldn't really get at them, just shooting down at you. It was a really effective plan. I would expect to see that this round at some point.
Okay, Wookiee is making the push across.
Trying to work out where I'm looking. It would help if I remembered which players were on which teams.
Wookiee from Quebec.
So just to keep an eye on the scoreboard now, we've still got Paradox topping.
One thing we've seen a lot of in these games so far is teams getting early vehicle repair pads, which I think is terrible, and I think it's even worse on Isle, because when are those vehicles honestly coming back to the high ground?
Look at this, NF are now trying to push up this ladder in the southeast, and they're getting nowhere. Like, they're just getting shelled from above. No amount of cover can save them. And
that is just going to be an endlessly dead squad.
Yeah, like, you can't push up that, right? Not unless the only way you push up that is if the infantry
are top 9. It's one of those situations where you're just going to be reviving each other for about 10 minutes until they finally manage to take you all out.
Like if you want to
Yeah,
hold
you may not be feeding tickets because you're making efficient use of revives, but you are feeding them points.
It's true. I don't know, I just feel like if you there's no point with, oh, hang on. And Xray have got an APC in the south.
Oh yes, they do.
Could you open up the spec quickly
Oh,
so I can
the
have a look at
NFCom was already
resources?
tracking it.
Well, I mean, this is a play that BE are making.
It's okay.
That I mean, NF didn't kind of fortify that position as much as BE did. I think BE were
Paradox
probably
take-
expecting
Spartacus taking out the
some
Rex.
kind of rush.
F, rather.
Oh, and NF Light is going to take out that APC. They just
I don't know, because the APCs are driving around and dropping off single people. It's dropped off Spartacus and the finding another guy's peeling off air and NPC.
So Quebec NF, they currently have 6,000 resources stocked up, and they only have 3 of their vehicles out. BE, they have 4,200. So both teams have the potential to get out a whole bunch more vehicles. Upgraded grenades are coming out on BE.
I think that makes sense if you've
On
just seen
NF,
the tactic.
Loliot is really close to biological warhead. He'll have that in a minute, but I don't think he actually has the chassis yet to use biological warhead.
Well, I'm just saying it kind of makes sense that Xray are going for upgraded grenades because they can just sim that APC there using grenades. Their plan really is to use that to pretty much take out all of the lower refineries, and then they can just basically from the high ground shell all the other vehicles. They can just essentially use it like kind of a bit like artillery.
It is a very cost-effective way of fighting in the northwest.
Yeah, and it's also just really good for, like, if you've got the high ground. I mean, I'm not saying it has a super range, but it's like having a mortar that you can just spam constantly, you know, towards enemy buildings. It's great for territory control now.
Oh, B's moving in the northwest.
Yeah, they're pushing across the bridge now, but they just
Yeah.
lost that APC straight up. So, but I mean, if they get a couple of APCs parked there with this upgraded grenades, they're gonna start pushing really quickly. And I don't
But I
know
mean,
if
that
Quebec
was
have
their
an
cute
answer.
little APC that they had behind the armory, so...
Yeah, their
They haven't
skirmish is
even
dead.
got another one
Paradox
over there.
eliminated it completely.
Yeah, but they've got Teeth is just building up the new racks now, so I don't think they're too worried about that. Like maybe that gave them the space to actually get their racks up, you know, while the other team was concentrating on the APC. They could finally get their racks up. Quite a few. I like the way both teams are using sort of split off, like people just to split off and do individual tasks. Like we've got this LT up in north, and again I can't tell who it is, beer dude. And then
Hint, hint.
yeah, and we've got this, you know, the APCs in middle for
That was Valiant.
Xray.
Yep, he's already dead. Nope,
But-
not yet.
At least creating space, that's the main thing, you know, moving around, drawing people and whatnot.
So that was pretty big. The LT that went up north, it just took out the level 3 turret that BE had spent a while building up there.
Yeah,
And
the
it
northwest
looks
has
like
been
they're
completely
gonna-
destroyed.
Yeah, it looks like Quebec are absolutely massacring that base.
I'm gonna quickly switch through some players. I want to hopefully find myself in one of those APCs. Eventually.
Oh,
I've
and
got
the
security
backup
in the
racks
LT.
has been discovered. They've got people taking out the backup racks on the bottom now. Zealoth is in it, he's trying to repair it, but Valiant and
Quite a few
Wookiee are
tanks
taking
massing
it
on the B
out.
side. I've just seen them now. They've got a couple of AFVs coming up. I will eventually find this APC. One day.
Looks like B have finally decided to get some actual vehicles out.
We've got a full Jeep heading around the south at the moment.
That looks like 50 cal. Or is it?
Have a look. But, so we've got a full Jeep now heading around the south
Peak.
with Freak, Blood Pickle, Iclax, and someone I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting. They've got high explosive MG. That's what I'm seeing.
Okay, this Jeep now is heading all the way around, and they're stopping here. And I think they're going to go for the B main base, the Xray main base, Xray main base.
I mean, is high explosive MG particularly
It's
useful
two
in this
engineers
fight?
and
You
two
can snipe-
grenadiers.
You can snipe buildings with it. That's the thing. You can just shell buildings from miles away with it.
I'm just not sure that it's what they need at this
Is that the
stage.
same team that went for upgraded grenades? Did you say?
Yeah, the B
Yeah,
com has
yeah,
noticed
Yeah, well,
the,
they're going for
the
extremely
Jeep
powerful
team.
APCs. Yeah, that Jeep team is dead.
Ooh.
Oh man, they got nailed.
Xray have 6
Ouch.
vehicles out at the moment. And Quebec have 5. So neither team is making use of their resources. Actually, both teams have a ton of spare reds that they could be using here.
I don't know if it would be the best time to use it though. At the moment, like think about it, once they get media and stuff like that, they can really flood them out. You know, maybe it's worth stockpiling a bit of resource at the moment. But right now, Xray making a. See, this is what you see when Quebec went for the push on the B main base. They went there in this Jeep, got discovered, instantly blown up. Now, Xray have gone to low ground, dropped cover, and they're just shelling the buildings from low. They're not trying to push up; they're just trying to hammer them, and it's doing good. They're drawing a lot of people from Quebec to defend. There's only like 4 of them down there, and
Right, BE is going to the northwest now with a whole bunch of AFVs.
Right.
Oh, one got killed already.
They've got an APC pushing straight through though, going all the way over to
Oh, that
the
was an
Quebec
APC.
main base. This APC is going straight
Oh,
into the
yes.
Quebec base. And it's down.
It's dead.
Easy was having
it
none
got
of that
sticky.
shit.
Gotta say that Xray are not doing a fantastic job of holding this north. And it's
No, they're
at
not.
least partially because
Oh, they
they've
found
still
an
got
APC.
a bunch of people committed at other places in the map.
Yep.
They've only got 2 people now in the east. Nope, they've got more. Okay, they've got some people on the low ground, but
They're massing up
some
vehicles now. Look, they've got the HMG now and probably the upgraded grenades as well. So I wouldn't surprise me if very soon we start to see those APCs make a proper push.
But I've just got to say, this squad down here, Mr. X, Rhymes, and Ranger on Xray here, I don't know why these people are down here. This
Mediums
seems
are
like
out.
a really silly
And they
place to commit
got
3
by-
people.
Yeah,
Ayo.
biomelt as well. That was instantly killing off that APC. The
Yeah,
thing
and
is
all
now,
the infantry is getting slaughtered.
Xray have put quite a lot of time into researching essentially APC
Okay,
weapons.
Quebec right now they've got 10,000 resources. If they got enough people out, they could frankly go and end the game. They got enough medium tanks out.
This is a big
Yeah,
contrast to last week.
They have.
Like last week, both
3
teams were kind of
mediums.
strangled for it, but one team managed to stockpile a bit. Seems like
Renodi still have 7,000 resources.
I feel like the resource rate on this map may be a little.
Yeah, it is perhaps not entirely balanced.
Yeah, I should probably.
It's just
think
not being used well.
It's probably the multiplier on how many people are out, to be fair.
Yeah, I'd probably just hit a threshold with 24 on each team. I think, in fact, I think it is. I think it's 12. I think the threshold is 12, or it was. Maybe it got up to 20, but either way, it's pushed it just above. Right. See, Quebec are now. I felt like Quebec were getting really pushed back. I thought like Xray had this quite brief period where they seemed to be making gains because of having good APCs with the HEMG and the grenade launchers, but now because Quebec got the mediums out just that little bit earlier, they just swamped the northwest, and Xray are getting the mediums out now. But
Oh, Xray has an APC at the NF base now.
Xray are currently going for BioML, but it's still going to be about 60 seconds, give or take. No, 120 seconds before they're actually there.
Bloodpickle actually just suicided himself by driving against an enemy APC.
well, whatever works.
What a player.
Oh, and they all also have mediums out. Xray also has mediums out.
I must admit,
And they're
like,
absolutely demolishing all the NF resources.
whoa, yeah, look at the top though. Right now, Xray, these tanks are just going to swamp straight across now. I don't think Quebec have many tanks left on the high ground. Most of them dropped to low ground to push other areas. So unless they start flooding tanks there, they can't really defend against this.
Yeah, and the HEMGs are very, very good at harassing the
They got HE as well, because like they've opened up
vehicles.
upgraded grenades, so now they just get HE straight off the bat, pretty much. They've just.
Yeah.
In terms of the team's general approaches to the game, we're seeing similar things that we did last time around, with squads walking around with a couple of revive engineers, just trying to keep everybody alive, trying to minimize ticket use. But I actually don't think that's particularly good on this map in particular, because this is not a map that is really going to go to tickets. Both teams may have churned through almost 200.
You say that,
already,
right?
but
Until we
this
up
is
the
a map
ticket
that
rate.
tends to end.
But it's until we upped the ticket count to 400, it was at 200.
Yeah,
That
it
said,
will, yeah.
19
That would have
minutes
been
now, this VE would be on their last 14 tickets. But obviously as the game goes on, the ticket rate tends to slow down as more people get in vehicles.
I mean, unless Xray kind of do something special up here and they actually manage to do something with this horde of medium tanks they've got out, I don't see this map going down to the ticket.
We
counter.
said that last time, didn't we? So I'm not going to
Well, I don't know. I think Cyclopean is a map that does tend to go to tickets. I think you didn't believe it would.
I didn't believe it when I was very surprised, but it seems to be, from what I can see so far, it's like one team has got out a bunch of tanks, they've sort of pushed along the high ground into the northwest, then they've dropped, and then another team's pushed a lot of tanks in and they've taken the northwest, and then they're all slowly but surely. I've just literally watched 2 medium tanks now on B drop to the low ground. And now NF are massing tanks in their main base.
Quebec still has 10,000 res out. Loliot is encouraging his team with words. Spike is telling his team they're a penis.
Well, different leadership styles. You see, if you start look at the minimap now, it does look like Xray are starting to sort of slowly take over the map here.
My empire has crashed, but I can tell you that while Quebec have 10,000 resources stocked, Xray only have 1,400.
Well, they've just put so much into those tanks. Could you see the resource rate before you left of X-rays, or did you see what it was?
No.
To say this, X-ray have committed so many tanks taking the ground, but now Quebec have just started massing. It seems to be just this push and pull thing. One team builds a ton of tanks, take up an area, but then they drop all those tanks to the low ground. And then the other team builds all these tanks, pushes up the high ground, which is what Quebec are doing right now. And then eventually all these, but then they start dropping to low ground again. It just seems a bit like, keep your tanks on the high ground. You don't need to push them onto low ground. There's no reason
So
to do
important
that.
to keep your tanks on the high ground. I feel like having either infantry or people on the low ground, except for maybe 1 or 2 to build refineries, is just kind of pointless on Isle. It is a total.
You're making an aim, like unless you're going to think, right, we're going to swing around and go and push into one of the main bases from the ramp. You're not accomplishing anything, you know. You can take refineries with an AP series.
The minute you lose the high ground on this map, it is over.
So this is exactly what I said sort of would happen. After X-Ray make the push to the northwest with all those tanks, then they drop all the tanks to the high ground. And then Quebec just make the exact same call. They put all the tanks into the northwest, but now they're on the high ground, and X-Ray have no tanks left, and now Quebec drop 2 more tanks to the low ground. Like, they just need to keep the tanks high. Like, if they had enough of them, they could push straight into the X-Ray main base now. But instead, they drop half the tanks onto the low ground, and their force is half, because the tanks on the low ground can't fight. They can't fight.
Loliot is trying to rear his team into all focusing on one tank, emphasizing that they really need to concentrate their firepower on individual tanks, as opposed to just kind of throwing out bio-MLs and hoping for the best.
Well, I would expect... Whoa.
That is
That's a medium.
Did anybody see that spinning tank?
I did.
When the security just popped out of?
Yeah.
I'm glad you caught that on camera.
Physics. Realistic physics.
He gets caught out by a really unfortunate level 3 ML turret. That just happens to be there for some reason.
Meanwhile, in the southeast, no one has taken anything. 22 minutes
Meanwhile, in
into
the
the game.
southeast,
Nothing has
people
changed.
Yeah, nothing has changed since the beginning of the game. This is the exact same game. I mean, you could probably count the tickets that either team here have used on one hand. They're just not using tickets, and as a consequence, nobody is actually taking anything. But NF have not held that refinery for the majority of the game, whereas B have consistently held both of those.
I'm actually surprised that I haven't seen the Quebec, like Mortar or even RPG, like if you get enough people you can still hit buildings with it. RPG sniping the X-Ray refinery in B3. I'm surprised they haven't just done that, because it's quite an easy take from there. You can
There's no walls, there's nothing there.
You should just take it. I mean, of course, splits a couple of their guys to go take it. You can just keep doing that. It doesn't take long. Or you can use squad routing. Is that both teams with HMG now? I'm just going to quickly switch.
There's a big push now of 6 medium tanks coming out from Quebec, going up north.
Yep. I'm just watching Zoom right now. No, I didn't take a demo or a TeamSpeak recording here. I hope this recording works.
Yeah.
Starting to get a little bit of a standoff now, but I think It wouldn't surprise me if that bridge goes down. It's taken quite a few stray HE shots. Like, one of those bridges might end up going down at some point. I think that's kind of a good thing. But hey, look, here. All these Quebec tanks on the ground, not able to contribute. There's 5 of them chasing a single Xray medium, which is just driven into the water. That's Candles there. Just drawing 5 tanks on Quebec.
And another tank goes to the low ground. And flips. And it was Zoom.
Oh, Spectre.
He walks away from his medium tank in shame.
Oh well. But again, look at all this. Look at all these tanks now. Jesus. All these tanks on the low ground now. Ooh.
Xray have actually done a decent job of conserving these tanks.
Yeah, they haven't been wasting them.
They've put too many of them on the low ground, but there's enough of them there.
They're not doing anything.
They can't contribute stuff, and that's the other thing, that the high ground Quebec tanks can still shell them from the high ground. They might not be able to do that much damage, but now they're all just moving around.
Yeah. Too many residents.
We'll move them back.
Well, that being said, Renodi have now run out of resources. They're burning res at the moment. About plus 14 is the resource gain rate, but they're on 300 resources right now.
I don't know how many wages.
They lost their VF.
Half might be too many to drop the resources by maybe
4,000
20%.
on NF. So I'm not sure that there are actually too many resources, but certainly there are
a lot more than last week.
There are a few too many, but there are. I'm not sure if it's a
half, maybe 25% off.
Magnitude. Yeah.
25% could go a long way.
Well, okay, so currently Quebec have 20 vehicles out. They don't have anybody with a ton of resources, a ton of wages spare, except Lolliot. On Xray, there are a couple of people who have a ton of resources. One of those is Scar, that is Spike. And the other is Rhymes. Rhymes has a ton of resources, but he's spent the whole game as a Grenadier pretty much, and I don't think he's willing to get in a vehicle now.
Meanwhile, in Southeast, Quebec have placed a refinery and are building it.
Congratulations.
Well done, Valiant. You got a refinery. And I give it maybe 2 or 3 minutes before it starts going down. Yep, Rhymes is already shelling it.
Yeah, this
oh,
Rhymes
he's RPG sniping the tank, actually.
This Rhymes guy has spent the entire game here.
Well,
Pretty
to
sure.
be honest, you do need a couple of people there, but you only need a couple of people.
Yeah.
Both teams
I
have
mean,
got
I
their personnel
prefer
down.
what they're doing now to what they were doing before.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Where they had 5 people committed here. And at the beginning of the game, they had about 10 people committed to this one fucking refinery.
To say there was a point in this game where I felt Xray were pretty much swarming the entire map and had taken over it. It's gone pretty much back to even Stevens, really. Sorry.
Okay, well, what are the team's research decisions? Dominate them and work together, says Lolliot. Alright, so they've got heavy tanks out. They've got nuclear fission on the way. They have gone for composite armor, just straight up composite. I mean, that's expensive, but they have the money for it. They've got gas turbine, but I assume they're going for fission engine. They've not got any kind of MGs, but they have high explosive cannon and they have biological warhead.
Both teams have got
pretty focused research from Lolliot here. Honestly, like, not kind of overlapping anything like we saw with the Cyclopean game where we had people dipping into multiple engines and multiple armors.
No, Lolliot didn't do that game. That was
DZ,
because he wasn't really getting any direction. Heavy tanks out on Xray.
On Spike's team here, he's got heavies out now. They've got the high explosive MG, they've got high explosive cannon, they've got biological warhead, gas turbine, and composite on that team as well. So both teams going for essentially the same research path.
Yep.
It's just that
wow, JK just sniping that. So Jeff are just sniping out JK as he's trying to heal that tank up. right off the
Xray
side of the
took the time to pick up those upgraded grenades and that high explosive MG. That's the only difference between the two teams' research paths.
Heavy tanks out on Quebec, so it's really even on research. Like they've almost got carbon copies of each other, and they're getting everything at the same time. it
Yeah,
seems.
except that Xray are now going for extended range, whereas I believe that Loliet might be deciding to dip into nuclear warheads.
That would make sense.
Oh
given
no,
all
he's
that.
gone for UML. He's gone for UML.
Oh, fair enough. Do you know what, I'm more surprised than anything. Like, I really rate getting, especially in a scenario like this, right? I really rate getting artillery in extended range, right? Because if you're on one of these islands, you can just
Yeah, I was
snipe
thinking
across.
that as well.
Although I feel that way, I feel that NF benefit a lot more from that at the moment than
At the moment,
B.
because of the territory, yeah. Because like, I think Xray are getting pushed back now quite substantially. Oh, and look at
Yeah.
it. It looks like finally in the southeast, Quebec have broken through. They've actually got up the ladder and they lost the racks, but they've still got an APC in the area and they're still pushing people up. So they've actually broken through. It looks like Xray committed so many people to defending what's going on in the
Well,
northwest.
congratulations. After half an hour, you took their axe. Well done, guys. Meanwhile, the game happened.
How many resources have Xray got? Because I feel like they've still got so many mediums out right now, whereas really they
I
need
think
the
they're just
firepower from
making
the
good
heavies.
use of what they've got, because their resources haven't gotten above 1,000 any time I've looked at them in the past kind of 10 minutes or so. They're just about getting up to 1,000 now.
I don't think I
They don't have many
increasing the
ways.
resource rate. I love the way they've got these. I'm not sure if I love them, but it's quite interesting the way they've dropped these couple of repair pads just on the low ground so people can fall back to them.
I mean, I think those
safely.
repair pads are fine.
They've got a few heavies
now
out
as
now.
well. I'm really not sure about the decision to place one right next to the CV at kind of what was it, the
5-minute mark.
4-minute mark, the 3-minute mark. I mean, especially on this map where
Well,
your tanks
actually,
probably don't spend a lot of time on the high ground.
No, I understand the reasoning. I don't think the reasoning is to repair the vehicle. I think it's just to give people a chance to recustomize their vehicles when armors and engines start appearing. I don't think it's
Maybe.
to repair. I think it's just so that they can
it was far
recustomize.
before it was long before they got medium tanks.
Yeah, but it's just so they can get armed. Like if they're rolling out standard engine plain armor vehicles, then oh well. It looks like that push in the north by Quebec seems to have been. I don't want to say repelled because Xray don't seem to have anyone defending it. They just seem to have fizzled out on
Low
both sides.
medium tank in the north looks pretty fucking sad right now.
He seems to be.
Looks like-
I'm
I
watching
think they've
him.
just
So he's gonna get away.
switched out their mediums for heavies.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a few heavies coming out for Quebec now.
Yep.
Yeah, they have like 3
Well, it's
heavies.
worth
down
noticing
there.
the ticket lead now as well. Xray are
And
falling over
that
40
is
tickets
Salvo
behind.
MLs. We've got Salvo MLs coming out, so I don't think that Xray's base has very long to live.
Yeah, X-Ray's base
I
refinery
would really
is going
like
down.
to see a second base going up on the low ground, anywhere where he's got space here.
I don't know because
Another vehicle factory, another barracks.
it'd be worth getting it in just for the sake of getting it in cover rather than getting it as a secondary base.
Yeah, because those Salvo MLs, they're just going to wreak havoc on that base.
It's
This is
mainly
one.
UML
This
and
is
they're
one
using-
definite advantage with these kind of stalemate high ground maps, where NF just have a huge advantage over BE.
Well, they can hit from much further. I mean, I'm watching Paradox now, and he's going straight for the refinery. They're cutting off the resource supply now. They get tank next to him, Blood Pickle as well. They're both sniping at the refinery, which I
So,
think is going to go down in a
At this
second.
stage, I would say that Xray
Yep,
are in
refinery
a pretty
down.
fucking dire strait.
Yeah.
I want to see, they don't really have the capability for a tank rush because they just don't have the resources anymore. Their res is about 600. There's only a few people on their team who have any kind of wages.
It's worth
So
saying.
I'm not sure
After we,
what play they can make.
laughed at Loliet last week for not placing refineries. Look at the refineries on the minimap right now.
Yeah, there are a lot of refineries.
They've even got someone
the
going
foot
for this next
refinery
round.
strategy is no longer around.
Lazy Bum is waiting for this next refinery right outside the Xray base, and oh man, like that. Given that Xray can't even get the high ground refinery, they're down to one refinery now. They're just down to one single refinery. I don't know. Unless I feel like now they have to go for some sort of rush with
There
lasers.
is it's an APC rush at this stage, right? That's
But
the
how
only
would you
thing.
get an APC through there? Like, you can't go from the low ground because of the amount of walls. They can realistically probably block you off with walls if you come from the high ground. This is again where I realistically, as a
It's a
map,
last
is a
last
total
ditch
map.
scout stun APC. It's something, but there's there's some kind of desperation play that they've got to make to at least kind of.
I feel like their best chance now, right? They have to go through the northwest, and they just need to get everyone to spend every last scrap of wages they have, grab whatever vehicle they can afford, medium, heavy, whatever. Because you see, here's the one advantage they've got. Most
User was moved
most
to your
most of the Quebec vehicles are on the low ground. Like, they don't have that many on the high ground. They've got a lot of them in middle, a lot of them in other areas. So pretty much this is their chance, but the bridge has gone down, so it is no longer their chance. But they just have to push around the northwest and just hope for the best at this point if they want to pull off a rush. They're not doing it from the low ground. Or the alternative is the I'll pull an APC up to the Quebec base on the low ground and then get two grades out to 9-9 it.
This squadron of NF tanks in the middle here with just shelling the BE base.
VF is down. Yep.
This is just beautiful.
It's worth saying, these tanks, there are also quite a few of them are using cannons as well, even though they're on F, because they obviously they're based it around shooting from the low ground, so they're still using the HE even on the heavy tanks, just because they're not going to really get the angle with missiles, but they can get it with cannons. So, you know, despite the inherent disadvantage.
Nukes are coming in.
Yeah. The thing is, those nukes are going to start getting thrown from miles away.
I feel like part of this, at least, is I think you can't put yourself in the position to be commanding and calling at the same time. Because if you were kind of had your head screwed on and were looking at where your team was dedicating their resources, and you were in charge of Xray, you would not have dedicated 10 people to going towards the east and holding it the first 20 minutes of the game. If they had a better advantage and managed to take northwest, as BE really should on this map, it's very much BE favoured.
Well, I think there's two things I want to pull up. Firstly, at the start there, when they... it's not actually that important, to be honest, because obviously they ended up taking the northwest in the end, but getting their racks on the low ground when they probably could have got away with getting on the high ground might have set them back a little bit. But I think one of the biggest things is when they took that entire map, right, they literally... All Quebec had left was their main base, and they had a couple of people in the southeast, and I think 2 refs in mid. Xray had all these tanks getting ready to bear down on the BE main base, sorry, on the Quebec main base, the NF main base. And then they all went low ground, all of them. And then that whole push fizzled out. Quebec just pumped out a load of tanks and just ploughed straight through into the northwest, because they just dropped all their tanks onto the low ground.
Yeah, I didn't understand that either, because there were, I don't know, 8 to 9 mediums in the northwest from Xray, and they didn't do anything.
I don't know if it was actually planned. I think it was just sort of a, oh look, there's tanks on low ground. We don't really I can't be bothered sitting here in my tank. I don't think, I don't want to blame the commander for that, or for not. Maybe he should have given them the direction, but I don't want to say he told them to go to low ground, because I'm pretty sure he didn't.
Honestly, the few moments that I've spent on NF this game looking at their resources, Lolliot has been on the ball telling his team exactly kind of like rallying them into just focusing down individual tanks, trying to kind of get his team just going, and whereas all I've heard from Spike is calling his team penises.
Well,
I mean, I'm sure that was probably only a few moments of anger, but
yeah.
a little bit of direction, it could be said.
Well, I think the main issue is to say, like, if all those tanks had been told, all the Xray tanks when they were on the NF, pushing the Quebec main base, right, stay on the high ground. If they'd been told specifically to stay on the high ground, they could have accomplished so much. They all had HE and HEMG. They could have shelled the Quebec base, taken out the VF before they could have got any vehicles out, and they could have just progressed from there. Instead, they all dropped to the low ground and just kind of split up into an unorganized mass, taking out random tanks.
Yeah, I do feel like there was definitely a moment in this game where Xray were in charge and they were in a position to make a play. But for the rest of the game, Quebec have been pretty dominant.
Yep. They've just been extremely well coordinated. They've had the right amount of people where they needed it all the time. That's the main thing to say. They've always had the right amount of manpower. Apart from the Southeastern squad, which I really don't think accomplished anything until the only time they accomplished it was when the other squad pushed the Northwest so hard that Xray had to pull every last guy away from there. That's the only time they ever. I just feel like I'm hoping next round both the teams put less of a priority on the Southeast and maybe more of a priority on keeping their tanks on the high ground. I think that's really the story of this game, really.
Oh, it seems like the BE Com is in for a pickle.
Oh, I'm moving over now. Oh, he's going for it. Let's see if I can.
I think he's just driving into the water. Oh. Yeah, he's stuck.
No, he's still going.
Oh.
He can do it. Oh, I believe in him.
Ooh. Oh, this isn't good. Oh, he's dead.
Oh, he's down. He's down.
He's dead.
Well, Spike has decided that he prefers the life of a submarine.
And look at this. It's like the beach landings in Normandy in reverse. Well, good game, well played. Well played by Quebec.
Well done indeed.
And they're taking a while to kill this. Well, I'm sure they will eventually. I'm surprised there are still people alive on Xray, but there's still... Here's the thing, right? Despite that, I'm probably not going to get there before the commander dies, but there were still a load of people alive in the north, right? Because they still had a Rex up there. Xray was still holding on to it. No. Good shit. Hopefully the next game will work also. And I'm going to end up with one single recording here because I'm too lazy. But I'm going to pause this recording and then off a little bit.
So, hey Matt.
Yeah, I mean, you know, check if that recording has actually worked.
Yeah, I hope so.
Do you feel like maybe you
That'd be
should
a
check
problem.
that now at this stage?
I will check this now once you guys are in spec.
Okay.
Okay. Also, we're on Isle again.
Yeah, we are. They swapped teams.
Oh. Oh, they swapped teams. Okay. Has a pug ever been done with the